Sometimes in chess, you will get lucky and your opponent will give up an easy checkmate. But that's not always the case. It's usually harder than that, and you'll need to look deeper into the position in order to win. You might have checkmate, but it's in 2 moves instead of 1. This might be called mate in 2. Let's take a look at some examples where there is a forced checkmate in 2 moves. In any position, it's important to first look at all of the checks. With white to move, does white have any checks in this position? White only has 1, but it happens to be a good one. Knight to e7 check. This move forces the king to the open h-file, either h8 or h7. Let's say king h7. Notice that the white knight protects g8 and g6, meaning that the black king cannot escape the h-file. If white's queen can deliver a check on the h-file, it's checkmate. Can you find the move? Queen h5, checkmate. Since the queen and knight guard all of the escape squares for the black king, you just found a 2-move checkmate. Great job. Let's look at another example. In this position, black is threatening checkmate on the very next move with queen takes g2, checkmate. Notice black has 2 attackers, the rook and queen, versus white's only defender, the lone king on h1. Now, before worrying about the checkmate, first look to see if white has any attacks to consider. Notice that the white queen and bishop line up on f7. There's only one defender, the king on g8. Which check would force the black king into the corner? Queen takes f7, delivers check, protected by the bishop, so the king cannot take the queen, and this forces the king into the corner with h8. Now white has 3 ways to deliver checkmate on the next move: queen e8, queen f8, or, working together with the light-squared bishop, queen to g8, checkmate. The king cannot capture the queen because the light-squared bishop protects the queen. Let's take a look at one more example together. In this position, white has 2 checks, queen f7 and queen h7. Notice queen f7 isn't a very good move. White has 2 attackers on f7, black has 2 defenders. Also, white would just lose the queen after bishop takes f7. So that move does not look very good. What about queen takes h7? White has 2 pieces attacking h7, and black has only 1 protector, the lone king. After queen h7 check, the king is going to be forced to f8. Do you see the 2-move checkmate coming? After king f8, if you found queen h8, checkmate, great job. Now that you've seen some examples, it's your turn to practice delivering 2-move checkmates. Castling early in the game is generally a good idea because you do 2 things at once. You get your rook into the game, and you move your king toward the corner where he will be out of the way of most of the action in the center. Normally, you want to castle to a side that has pawns available to protect your king from attack, like this and like this. Oftentimes, you will have 3 pawns sitting directly in front of your king in a perfect row. This can provide a safe place for the king. However, these pawns also create a wall that the king cannot move through. And as you know, being able to move is one important way to avoid checkmate. In this position, you can see 3 pawns in front of black's king. Notice all of black's pieces have left the back rank, and the king is all alone. Remember, ranks are what we call rows in chess. What would happen if you were able to check the king on the back rank? Let's see. Rook to e8 delivers checkmate. Black's own pawns prevent the king from escaping the back rank. Let's look at this position again, but this time with a slight difference in the position. Do you notice the difference in this position? Black's pawn on h7 has moved to h6. This opens up a window for the black king in case white delivers a check on the back rank. Black escapes white's attack, and now it's white's turn to be cautious. If white tries to save a pawn with a4, a pawn may be saved, but the game will be lost. Notice white's back rank is completely unprotected. One of black's rooks can deliver a check. Let's say rook to d1, which forces rook e1. And now, after rook takes e1, it's checkmate. So how could white have avoided this back rank checkmate? Remember, the best way to avoid a back rank checkmate is to push a pawn in front of the king as a window for escape from the back rank. In this position, white could play h3, opening the h2 square for escape if black delivers a check on the back rank. Let's take a look at one more position. In this position, should white capture the pawn on b6? When you think about moving a piece, always ask, what is the space left behind? In this case, if the rook leaves b1, the back rank is left behind. This allows black to finish the game with a back rank checkmate. Obviously, white cannot allow this to happen, so let's see what white should do instead. White needs to open a window for the king's escape and move one of the pawns in front of the king. But which pawn should be moved? Let's try g3. This does open a window for white's king to escape the back rank, but it also weakens light squares right in front of white's king. This allows black to play bishop to h3, preventing the white king from escaping the back rank. So g3 actually makes white's king less safe. This leaves us with moving the h-pawn. After h3, white's king now has an escape square on h2, so back rank checkmate is no longer an issue. White can now capture the pawn on b6 with the rook on the next turn if black leaves it unprotected. Now that you've learned how to deliver and avoid back rank checkmate, it's your turn to practice back rank checkmates.